بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. الفيديو ده بيتكلم على syllabus of physics second secondary unit 1 chapter 3 subject of light waves. The properties of light waves. Light waves are transverse electromagnetic waves. Light waves are transverse electromagnetic waves. Light travels in vacuum with the greatest speed in universe اللي هي 3 times 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Its wavelength is very short, 5 times 10 to the power negative 7 meter. Its frequency is very high, which is inversely proportional to wave length. Light travels in straight lines, so it can produce shadows and inverted image. Light travels in straight lines, so it can produce shadows and inverted image. The most important point here is that light is transverse electromagnetic waves, and the speed of its traveling is 3 times 10 to the power 8, which is meter per second, and they can travel through vacuum. Reflection of light. Reflection of light. Reflected light waves are simply waves that are neither transmitted nor absorbed but are reflected from reflecting surface. يبقى if light falls on a reflecting surface, it will be reflected. The ray of light which strikes the surface is called incident ray. The ray of light which strikes the surface of reflecting surface is called incident ray. This is an incident ray, and this surface is the reflecting surface, and this line which is perpendicular to point of incidence is called normal of reflection. يبقى the ray of light which strikes the surface is called incident ray. The ray of light which leaves the surface is called reflected ray. يبقى this is a reflected ray. يبقى the ray which strikes the surface is called the incident ray, and the ray which leaves the surface is called reflected ray, and the line perpendicular to reflecting surface at the point of incidence is called normal of reflection. A line perpendicular to the surface at the point of reflection is called normal of reflection. The angle between the incident ray and normal of reflection, this angle, the angle between the incident ray and normal of reflection is called angle of incidence phi. يبقى الانجل هنا angle of incidence phi. طيب, the angle between the reflected ray and normal of reflection, الانجل between reflected ray and normal of reflection is called angle of reflection theta. يبقى الانجل between the incident ray and normal of reflection is called angle of incidence phi, and the angle between reflected ray and normal of reflection is called theta, angle of reflection. Law of reflection: angle of incidence equal angle of reflection. Angle of incidence phi equal angle of reflection theta. The incident ray, reflected ray, and normal of reflection, incident ray, اهو reflected ray اهو normal of reflection اهو. all lie in the same plane perpendicular to the reflecting surface. Refraction of light. Refraction of light. Light will change direction. Refract. يبقى refraction عبارة عن change of direction when it pass from a medium to another. When light pass from a medium to another, it will change its direction. It means that it will refract. During refraction, velocity of light will change, wavelength will change, frequency kept constant. But يبقى في هنا عندنا two changes, الدايركشن والvelocity of light. لكن الويفلينث والwavelength will change, والvelocity will change, but frequency will kept constant. ده boundary surface between two media. ده normal of reflection. When light pass from less dense medium like air, يبقى هنقول ده less dense medium air to more dense medium water, يبقى هنا في boundary surface between two media, air and water. Light here will pass from less dense medium air to more dense medium water. ده air، يبقى light falls from air اللي هو less dense medium like that to water which is more dense medium like that. What will happen to this ray of light? It will be reflected, يعني changing direction like that. Angle of incidence is the angle between normal of reflection and the incident ray is called phi. Angle of refraction theta, الانجل between refracted ray and normal of reflection. يبقى لما الray falls from less dense medium like air to water, it will refract like that. هنشوف how it will refract. Ray refracts towards normal. يعني لو احنا خدنا straight line كده، يبقى الray لو مفيش refraction it will be here, but it will refract towards normal. Velocity of light decrease. ليه velocity of light decrease؟ لأن velocity of light in air is maximum, which is 3 times 10 to the power 8, while velocity of light in water is less than that. يبقى velocity of light decrease. بدل velocity decrease يبقى wavelength decrease. طب ليه؟ عشان السنيلز لو او اللو اوف ريفراكشن بيقول ان ساين فاي angle of incidence to sin theta angle of refraction equal velocity of light in the first medium to velocity of light in the second medium. احنا عارفين ان ال V air ال velocity of light in air more than velocity of light in water، هتبقى sin phi more than sin theta، يعني phi more than theta، يعني الray will refract towards normal like that. Velocity of light in air more than velocity of light in water، هيبقى على طول الphi more than theta، يعني الray will refract towards normal. when بقى light pass from more dense medium اللي هو الووتر to less dense medium اللي هو الاير، يبقى العكس هيحدث in that case. طبعا ده اللايت هيجي من المور دنس ميديوم اللي هو الووتر to less dense medium اللي هو الاير. ادي الباوندري surface between the two media and this is the normal of refraction. اللايت هيجي هنا كده from water to point of incidence here اللي هي عندها we will draw the normal of refraction like that, وده اسمه boundary surface which separates between these two media. This ray of light will refract away from the normal like that. طب ليه؟ برضو بنفس الطريقة. عندي ray refract away from normal والvelocity of light increase. velocity of light increase ليه؟ لأنه جاي من الووتر للإير. الماكسيمم velocity موجودة في الإير of light of course. wavelength increase. بدل ما velocity increase يبقى wavelength increase. طيب إزاي؟ أهو لما نقول law of refraction اللي هو sin phi divided by sin theta equal v الفيرست ميديوم اللي هو هنا ووتر على v السكند ميديوم اللي هو هنا اير. اوكي طيب يبقى انا عندي هنا ال v water velocity of light in water less than velocity of light in air هتبقى sin phi less than sin theta يعني phi less than theta يبقى الري refract away from normal. اهو ال v air يعني velocity of light in air more than velocity of light in water هيبقى على طول الفاي اصغر من الثيا يعني الري refract away from normal.